Hey, and welcome to this video. My name is Marie, and today I would like to talk about securitization theory. This is really a burning issue for me, especially after the latest leaks of the Frontex files that were revealing the relationship between Frontex and military industry actors. How this incident relates to securitization, or more, how securitization theory can be applied on these developments on border security, I will explain in the course of this video. First, I will give an overview about securitization theory and how it has been criticized and developed since the 1990s. And then in a second step, I will apply securitization theory on the issue of migration policy in Europe and illustrate how securitization is taking place in this context. In the end, I will give some literature recommendation if you want to go deeper into the topic. And as always, if you have any questions or if there's something you would like to know more about, please just leave me a comment and I can implement this in one of the next videos. The term securitization has been first invented by the Copenhagen School in the early 1990s. The approach criticizes the traditional perspective of security studies, and it points out that security is a social construct that is formed in discourse and that is influenced by power structures. The core of the theory is that security is a speech act. As a speech act, security is located in the realm of political argument and discursive legitimation, and thus it is also open for criticism and transformation. In the classical version of securitization theory, the process can be divided in 3 steps. The first is the securitizing move, it's the speech act itself. And the second step then is the transformation into a successful securitizing process by the acceptance through a relevant audience. And the third step is the translation of the successful securitization into specific policies and emergency measurements. According to the theory, the performance of a speech act puts the issue of security outside of the normal political process. This occurs in a really exceptional situation. To that cannot be responded by the normal political mechanisms anymore. A state of emergency arises, so to speak, in which drastic measures are decided upon and are initiated and implemented. This new and critical approach to security opens up the field beyond the traditional concerns. Traditionally, security studies were mostly concerned with state integrity and military security. The new approach to security recognizes that security also concerns other actors apart from the state. It is therefore also open to broader issues, for example to climate security or environmental security, that have been previously not been recognized as issues of security. Following this new perspective, it is completely open to what can be framed as security issue. Theoretically, every actor can speak security. Nevertheless, in practical terms, this is not the case due to the power structures we have in our society that are privileging some actors and also some topics due to their performance and their capabilities to speak security. It is about the different capacities of actors to define what it is security, and therefore it is also needed a relevant audience to accept this narrative. The securitization theory of the Copenhagen School has been widely recognized in international relations, but there's also some criticism that has been expressed over the years. This criticism has been, for example, formulated by the Paris School. The Paris approach, for example, is focusing at the everyday practices of securitization and therefore is observing the discursive formation of security in a long-term perspective. The original theory can also be criticized for its focus on political actors in formulating and speaking security, while neglecting or even denying the capability of other actors than politicians to also speak security. What also stays unclear is the relationship between the actor of speaking security and the relevant audience, because in some cases security is discussed without a public debate. What also stays unclear is why some securitization processes are successful and others are not. There's different answers to these problems from different approaches, also from post-structuralist theory. But this video is too short to give an overview about all the different approaches. What all the different approaches have in common, nevertheless, is that there is no inherent danger in a situation or an object, and therefore that security is a social construct that is formed in discourse. It is also widely recognized that security, but also insecurity, depend on the perspective. Now I arrive at the second step, and I will apply securitization theory on the policy of migration in Europe. In the context of European Union migration politics, we can also observe securitization processes, for example as response to terrorist attacks or other catastrophes or crises. Nevertheless, most of the measurements that have been implemented as response have not been put out of the normal political arena, but they were more part of the usual development of border practices in a longer period of time. To see, for example, the development of Frontex as a response to an exceptional situation only is too simplistic, as its creation took years and was part of a longer process of European border management. Another example is the so-called migration crisis of Europe in the year 2015 and 2016, that of course also had an impact in short term that can be called a securitization process. But more, it also pushed a general development of border security and the notion of security itself. As already explained in my last video about the biopolitical border, migration has not always been an issue of security and has also in the past not been as regulated and as restricted as it is today. Migration only became a major issue in the course of the 20th century. And even in this period, it has not been framed always in the same way. Migration was promoted and people were encouraged to migrate to Europe. It's only in the last decades that the issue of migration has been discussed as a security problem. Political rhetoric increasingly linked the issue of migration to the destabilization of public order, and the framing of migration as security issue is different from, for example, emphasizing that asylum is a human right that also needs the instruments of human right to deal with the issue. The discourse also reproduced the political myth that a homogeneous community or a Western civilization existed in the past and can be re-established by the exclusion of migrants. The institutionalization and the discourses produced a security continuum connecting migration with international criminality, terrorism, and border control. The development of European migration policy became more and more bureaucratic, and also the budget that was invested increased over the time. One really important actor is Frontex, the European Border and Coast Guard Agency. It is the fastest growing agency of the European Union, and it has immense equipment and a really high budget. Frontex is increasingly receiving competences that have been reserved for the national state actors before. The budget of Frontex will increase within the next 7 years until 5.6 billion euro, and more than half of it will be invested in the standing corps of 10,000 border guards. Frontex also wants to spend a large part of the money for equipment. Recently, documents have been leaked that were revealing that Frontex since 2017 is meeting with a lot of military industry actors. Not one meeting has taken place since 2017 with the NGO or humanitarian actor. In the presentations of the meetings that have been released, we can see that migration is constructed as security problem. The meetings with military industry actors show clearly in which context migration is negotiated. The meetings are held with actors that usually operate in war zones. They offer solutions and equipment for warlike conditions. With the development of Frontex, but also with the development of border security in the context of Europe in general, we see that a securitization is taking place. The desire to restrict migration has been discursively formed in the political arena, and migration has been constructed as a negative phenomenon that is harmful for the internal security. The securitization process is accompanied by institutionalization through militarization and increasingly complex border practices. If you want to go deeper into the topic, I can recommend the paper Securitization and Desecuritization by Alder Wever, who was one of the first who coined the term securitization in the early 1990s. Moreover, I can really recommend the paper from Jeff Huseman, The European Union and the Securitization of Migration. Thank you for watching the video. All the footnotes and all the literature recommendation you find in the description. If you have any question, please leave me a comment and I can come back to that in one of the next videos. And if you like the video, of course you can also subscribe to my channel and be informed about the next video.